very dynamic man. I am so excited to have him on the program. Welcome, leadership coach Richard Kuepper, president of L.E.A.D USA. So, Rich, welcome.
Well, thank you for having me. I appreciate the opportunity to speak with you and your audience.
Tell us a little bit about L.E.A.D and exactly what inspired you to start L.E.A.D.
Well, L.E.A.D is a company that specializes in leadership development and team performance. And what inspired me, many years ago, my background is in electrical engineering, so it's a little bit different. And then I got into sales and into sales training. And I really loved working with the young salespeople that came into the company and taking them on the road and showing them the ropes and giving to them what I had learned kind of through the road of hard knocks and helping them be successful. And when that moment that lit up for them, that all of a sudden, they got it, they got the approach and helped them take their business to the next level, it really, inspired off something positive in me. And so then I began looking for ways in which I can maybe start my own training company. And when I found the resources here in Connecticut, I decided to go out on my own and start my own training company.
Well, there's a lot of leadership, quote unquote, coaching out there, but yours is very different, very unique. And I know you've worked with some really, really big companies like eBay and LinkedIn and PayPal. Those are huge companies. So you've got to be doing something that's different and unique and not off the shelf, is what I'd say. So what is L.E.A.D's approach to training versus that traditional classroom, PowerPoint, click and shoot, and somebody, the talking head? What is it that you do that's different? And I know that there's a science that's behind it that's probably been really effective for you.
Yes, well, thank you. I've been very fortunate and privileged in my career to work with some of the world's best companies. And it's those companies that are making those kinds of investments in their people. That's what makes them world class. My approach, though, is what is referred to as experiential training. Experiential training is you're involved in the learning physically, mentally, and emotionally. That's what makes it stick. Versus we've all been in the classroom since grammar school where sitting there and someone's dumping information on us. It's very difficult to be engaged. But what I do is I create a metaphor, a physical metaphor to blanket the learning environment. So they're engaged in this activity, or let's say a game, or this challenge that they're faced, and it doesn't feel like learning. And then after the experience, we then debrief, we take a look at our behavior and our actions and our decisions that we made in that context, and what can we learn from that so we can be more effective in the business world. So if it's aligned well with, the metaphors aligned well with the business needs, then it really works.
So you must have to basically custom design most of your trainings.
That's
for
correct.
What I like to call, every company has their own DNA. So you would have to custom design your training to each company's DNA?
That's absolutely correct. And that's what really sets us apart from many of our competitors. It's not the off-the-shelf, here's our team building 101 program. I spend a lot of time up front with my clients finding out what is their specific needs and then design a program around it. Now, many of those needs are similar in other organizations as well, but the angle, the approach, and the language in which we choose to frame that activity or the exercise or the day-long or 3-day-long or week-long training is all tailored to the particular client.
You talked a little bit about HIPOs, high potential leaders. Can you tell from going to a business right away who those individuals might be out of a group?
For myself, typically I'm brought in to train them. Smart organizations today, they are looking at their talent in the organization and identifying marking out the people that they feel can step into a leadership role. Once they've identified them, they are going to make those investments and to help those people be highly effective.
Okay. All right, so please share your little heartwarming story on the building of the bicycle. I love that story.
Well, it's one of my favorite programs to deliver because it ties in what my client needs and what the community needs. So typically it's a team building activity. We take a large group of people, we break them down into small teams of 4.
And you did that with any of these that are on here?
Oh, I've done it actually with PayPal. I did it with many companies. Regeneron, I actually designed it for GE many years ago. So it's been refined over the time. So the idea is this group of professionals need to change their behavior and how they interact with each other to be a more of an effective team. So I give that small team a box of bicycle parts, no instructions, and a toolbox. They don't know, but the toolbox is incomplete. So they don't have all the tools they need to assemble that. But all the tools they need are within all
The other teams.
all the other teams as well. So they'll have to learn to
Share.
the idea is
yeah.
to share. It doesn't always happen. Sometimes they barter, they want to sell the tools to each other, in highly competitive environments. It's interesting how the culture of the organization comes through in an exercise like that. And then unknown to them, behind the scenes, I've worked for 2 weeks prior to that with a local organization working with kids in need that really could use a break, really could use a kind of a win of their own. But instead of just being a company that delivers a bike to them, and we make sure that the company provides a helmet and a lock as well. I do a development activity with them for 2 weeks prior to that as well. And so we're working with the adults in the organization to build capacity at that end as a team, and also capacity with those kids in the community that needed the understanding that they could be a force of power in their own life. That they don't need to have a victim mentality. They can have a mentality of, hey, I can make a difference in my life and in the lives of others. So we do that with them for 2 weeks. The kids who do well there are invited to receive the bikes. The adults don't know the kids are coming. The kids don't know they're receiving a bike. So when the two groups come together, it's quite emotionally charged.
Oh, absolutely. The pictures really don't speak to the impact of that program. It's fabulous.
Yeah, we've had people in tears because the adults, they just see this as some kind of team building activity. They go through that, they get it done in 45 minutes. It's a business scenario, they have time pressure. But then you pick up their bike and the front wheel falls off and rolls across the meeting room floor. Quality wasn't a concern until the kids walk in the room. Now they meet their customer and all of a sudden quality becomes paramount. So I have technicians that we check out their bikes to make sure
Everything is
safe. We also let the kids then break away, and we have the local police department give them bike safety instructions. While that's happening, we are now having a deeper dive in a conversation about customer service and your attention to detail, and no matter where you are in the organization, that there's a customer out there that'll be impacted by the quality of your work.
I would think about the internal things too, yes?
Yes.
About how they interacted with each other, for the teams that actually shared the tools and those that try to buy or barter the tools, for those that actually thought enough to go and seek out who might have. I mean, I could just go, whoa, that's
One of the best parts of the program is when the kids come in, I introduce them to the adults and I say, hey, guess what? They've been learning some team building activities. What are the qualities of being a good team member? And the kids say, you need to share, you need to trust each other. So the kids all know right away, and all the adults fall over laughing because it's all the behavior that they didn't demonstrate.
That's right, yeah, that's awesome. So speak to this, we have a picture here of you on a boat. What's that about?
Oh, this is the Sailing to Success program.
Mm-hmm.
Sailing is an excellent metaphor for your life, for business. You have to know where you are, you need to know where you go, so you set your goal, you chart your course, you have your plan, your strategy and how to get there. Now we start on that journey and all of a sudden something happens. The wind blows us off course, the current's against us. But the captain and the crew don't get upset. Hey, we just reset our sails and now the wind changed. Oh, boo-hoo, we're, sad for us. No, they just understand that they live and operate in a dynamic environment and they need to adjust the same. And the same is true for me as an entrepreneur, for us running our families and our communities. There's all of a sudden there's Ebola, all of a sudden there's this other threat to our health or safety. We need to adjust to take care of those things and not get hung up emotionally, but be agile enough to take on whatever challenges that life throws us.
Yes. And we have another picture here with these ladies. I see one lady in a go-kart.
Oh, that's our Racing to Win program.
What's that about?
And often companies come to me, they need to create more urgency in their people to execute. It's a very competitive global environment today. And we've had the luxury in this wealthy nation to be the leaders, and we don't often execute with the urgency that we need to. And so this is a racing to win. So it's a fun way to have the metaphor of a race, a fun activity. Really get at what does it take. You have to be quick, but you also have to deliver a quality product. And so all those elements of being quick to the marketplace, first in the marketplace, gets that brand recognition, and those kinds of themes get built into a program like that.
So if a company wants to bring you in, do you come in and you do some sort of analysis before you create a design program for them, training program?
Certainly they find me through my website or through other contacts. I've been around now 20 years, so I'm fairly well known here, and I work nationally and internationally. And it's that needs analysis we do up front. So a lot of times they know something's not quite right, or the behavior of this team or this group of leaders isn't what they want. They kind of know where they want to move it to, so how do we do it? Why they hire me is because I can get there quicker and more effective than the traditional learning model. Because I can put the 12 steps of being an effective team or leader on a PowerPoint slide, but people will see that, recognize it, but go back to their old behavior. But if they're engaged physically, mentally, and emotionally, and it really hits them in their heart, then we have the opportunity for them to change their behavior.
Yes, change their behavior and move.
Yeah.
So we only have about 1 minute before we wrap up. So if you could just share how people can contact you, number one, and some words of advice to those that are out there that might want to start their own business, and how you got that inspiration to start leadership.
So the best way to find more information about my company, the programs that we deliver, is L.E.A.D, L-E-A-D USA.com. And my advice to any entrepreneurs out there would be, you need to follow your passion. It was a windy road, but you begin that road. And just like driving your car at night, only the first 200 feet may be illuminated. You drive those 200 feet, and then the next will be illuminated, the next will be illuminated. And now it's 20 years later, I get to travel the world working with the world's best companies, and far beyond my wildest dreams when I initially thought, hey, I think I have some value that I could offer companies in the space of leadership and team building. So it's been a magical adventure for me, and that's my catchphrase: make your life a magical adventure.
Yeah, I can imagine, and rewarding as well for you.
Yes, very much so.
Yes. Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure to have you on the program. Richard Kuepper, leadership coach. And from the first segment, Lisa Rose. Thank you so much for coming on, and for my guests, thank you for being here with us today in the studio audience, and we look forward to seeing you on the next